If you've ever searched Amy Porterfield online, then you've probably seen all the big numbers, the $40 million in sales, the 10-year long business that she's had, and all of the courses that she's created and evolved over the years. But there's been one that's helped her generate over 14 million sales. And we're going to go through that entire sales page right here, right now, and show you the evolution of what she's done based on her own buyer data to help with increasing more sales and what you can use for your page to help do that. And a couple of things that I would recommend as a sales page conversion specialist to help her be able to convert even more with a couple of things that she's even missing on her sales page. So let's dive in. Let's dive into probably one of the nerdiest videos I will probably create, just going over evolution of a $14 million program. So what I want to do in this video is show a couple of things. Let's talk about the evolution of her sales page, because I think it's a very interesting thing to look at. People often forget that we can actually look at people's sales pages that are from years ago, if only if they've kept the same domain. Thankfully, Amy's been around for a long time, 10 plus years. Her actual domain itself has a lot of captures on the Wayback Machine. It is such a good tool. It's free. You can type in anyone's domain. If they've had their domain for a long time, you can be able to see what the evolution of their copy for their homepage and their entire website structure was. So it's really helpful for someone like me who is a conversion data nerd when I'm looking at people's evolution of their offers or seeing why people chose things. Because people like Amy or other big names sometimes will give, here is my launch, and give a couple of reasons why it changed. But this can give you more of the minute, like literal difference in the image, the things they change, and I can give you more of the why. So normally when I'm working with clients, I do end up doing a lot more buyer data, like looking at their actual behind the scenes, so their testimonials, their heat maps, that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm not on Amy's team. But I guess in case you don't know, I'm not on Amy's team, so I don't have the back end, and nor would I want to feel comfortable sharing back end stuff. So let's go over the actual data that I can show you, which is going to be the evolution of her offer itself. If we were to go back to the Wayback Machine, and this is bringing us all the way back to 2021, because from 2020 beyond, she did not have this sales page live. So it wasn't evergreen for it to get captured in the Wayback Machine, but now she does. The list building course we're talking about now. This was in 2021. And also this is the first time that I could see she had her 5-week list building society. This is currently the one that we're going to look at now. This was in 2021. So I pressed enroll now. You'll see she has the same button text as before. And I talk about actually why I don't believe this is a good button text a little bit more in my call to action button video. For now, just show you a little bit more on why she evolved certain things. Okay, so I'm going to put my mini face here. Hello. So I want to show you step by step what's going on from 2021 to 2025 and why. So you're going to see my face jump around a lot because that's just the place we're in. Okay, this one's going to be her 2021 and this one is her 2025, her current one you can find on her page. So what I want to show you is a couple things. Yes, her photos changed and that's great, but I want to focus more on the actual visuals below and the copy and like why they changed certain things. And again, this is going to be me as a sales page conversion specialist talk about it without having the data to fully back it up. But if people want to reach out and say why, I'd love that. So you'll see here, even in the initial tagline, it was more of an imagine and desire based question. So there's 4 or 5 main headline types that are used on sales pages. One of them being a question, one of them being more of a stat or a statement, one of them being more of a contrarian post, and then one that's just like the straight up tagline. I go over which one's best for your audience and buyer type inside of the Fix My Sales Page Bootcamp. But for her, for a while, and it made sense why she started to use one that was more for what if you could start building the right audience today and every single day after that. It was more the future casting, the vision type thing, because I talked about this in a previous video with topics like this that are more techie, not sexy. So, things like email lists, blogging, Pinterest, that kind of stuff. It is a sell, like the topic itself is evergreen, but it's a harder upsell upfront because people know it takes upfront time versus things that are shortcuts like the chat GPTs have been blowing up recently because it's all about shortcuts. They don't have to worry that much about pitching more of the vision to get you committed to doing more of the techie based thing, the less sexy thing. So that's why she started out in 2021 with this, where it was more of future visioning to like hold you into, don't worry about how much time it's going to take you, focus more on the end goal, the outcome, because this is going to be something that matters a lot. Because she's spent now so many years building up this program and has a lot of people in it and also has big numbers to pull from, she's now shifted more from just a guide to more of an influencer and an example. So the step-by-step email marketing course I've used to grow my list from over 4 to 400,000 subscribers, she now has these numbers that she can use for herself because she's become her own household name. Versus in 2021, she still was bigger, but it just wasn't the same. Like right now, almost every client of mine over the years who first got into business, including myself, was with Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher, which I'll do a separate video on Jenna Kutcher's evolution in her sales pages. But I wanted to show you that first, how they switched from a more future casting thing to more of a step-by-step. And there's a couple of reasons why I would suspect that's happening as a conversion specialist. The first thing being, a lot of people use future casting in sales pages, and it's just not as specific. So like email list, especially, is a very number-based topic. So having something like that, where it's the 0 to 400,000 subscribers, is going to get people to look at it more than just a, wouldn't this feel good? And for something like this, where it is more tactical, showing an example of it being tactical, a step-by-step email marketing course, that is giving them that feeling of, oh, okay, I can trust this. There's been a lot of data behind this, which there still was at this point. You can see here, even in 2021, she had over 17,000 people in this. But that just shows you that through other launches or whatever they did, saw that there was a piece in their buyer data in the feedback forms they got that they needed to shift away from just future casting, which felt like more of a, wouldn't this feel nice, to more of, this is what you can do to emulate my success and have my example. And again, this wouldn't work as well if she wasn't such a household name. Like I wouldn't copy and paste this for people who are still newer in business, or even their courses have like under 1,000 people in them. It's really important to make sure you also can pair those headlines based off of what your people are going to believe or want to know about you. So then going over the list building part here. So you'll see even this is different with list building. Society has a proven list. I'm not going to say it all. And then with this part, they're saying very similar things. You can tell one, it's a little bit smaller, like this is a little bit more succinct, but also you can tell they're leading with the frameworks, the steps, and tactics. Again, they're leaning more into like tactic-driven type of angle, rather than this was more on trying to solve multiple problems at once, which is like grow your business, reach your ideal customers, and generate more revenue, which all of an email list can do. But when you're trying to appeal to people, especially with a smaller offer like this, where I think at that time it was probably, we'll see down below, is either the 400 or less, having more problems you solve in one can actually make people more confused than making them feel more excited, because it creates that too good to be true feeling. So I can see why they shifted to, with this tech or intuitive framework, automated sessions to make growing your audience way less challenging and grow your revenue easier than ever. So you can see they actually simplified two main things they solved beyond before they had three. And because they probably realized over in the buyer data, people want to reach their ideal customers, but at the end of the day, business owners, and for her, people who are going to be new business owners, or at least like in the first couple of years of business, they're going to either want something that is solving the two never-ending problems of an entrepreneur, to getting more leads and making more sales. So she is really focusing and dialing in on that, and dialing in on more of the system itself rather than promising a bigger future or bigger solution. Even though this does solve it, they've realized that this feels a little bit less tangible and creates less of a priority for her people. And I talk about priority in my 3 buyer beliefs video. You can find that below, but it's just so important. And this is why I love what I do, and I would love to look at the data to see why they chose that. Obviously, it's staple having credibility, logo list of things people have been featured in, that kind of stuff, very common. Hers now obviously includes more of the book that she, I think, published a couple of years or a year ago, and then her podcast, which has been around forever. So we can see also they've changed specific type of logos based off of what her people would understand or see most. It's always important to lead with logos that are more mainstream, or people would understand, like your grandma would understand, more than just someone in the online space, which is why taking out the social media examiner made sense. Plus, they only had so much room, which happens a lot for my clients, where they get featured in more and more things that happened recently. Like they got featured in the Rolling Stones, stuff like that. And although the entrepreneur one matters, they had other things too to include. So anyway, small tangent. You can see here, though, they went straight into a testimonial, which at that time probably made sense for them because this might have been a little bit less well known, even though it has 17,000 people. It was maybe a little bit less well known, so they had to start building some credibility and trust immediately with having not just the counter, but also having someone talk about it being so easy, clear steps. But you can tell they're already actually talking about this in that first part, saying that providing me with clear step and impacted my business. They're hinting at that already here, but they expand on it more on the 2020 5 version. And also, wow, do I hate this formatting. So obviously through buyer data, I talk about this also in my optimize your sales page in an hour fix. One of them being like having a break of text every 3 to 5 lines. But what I mean by that is having something like this where your section includes some type of break with a photo or something like that, helps visually make it look better. She currently is in Show It in her website, so they have more plug and play options and can move more things around than someone like Kajabi or something. So I'm just saying that because having something like this, that little map thing is cute, but might not be able to use, or if you do that, it'll have to be used through like Canva. So anyway, this is very 2021, which is your audience is looking for you. It's your job to help them find solutions you're offering, whether you're starting out or growing a list. Now more than ever, you need like an engaging list. So basically she's making an angle that's saying you need this now because you never know what's going to happen. It's like the most important asset. This has helped me with ROI, which is a great stat. But then it says like, build a real connection with their audience. And this is going to be very important to say because the people who were actually wanting this program, which they realized by 2025 or 2024 is when they actually published it. You can see that in a Wayback Machine. You'll be able to see that the real connection with your audience isn't really there anymore. It's focused on this, which you're off to a great start. Masterclass, peruse, the concept of it grasped. The feeling confident, putting yourself out there for the most part. You've had a couple ideas, where do you go from here? So she's really calling out the beginner people. And that's great because that's who her people are. But you can tell here, she was like leaning either way. She's like, whether you're starting out or you've done this like email growth thing for a while, and you can still address multiple ideal clients in a sales page. I do this a lot with one of my clients. Actually, I have a case study on the profitable part-time blogger. She was someone who has people both who are like beginner bloggers to people who've done it for a while and plateaued, but also has bloggers and business owners. It's like her two main ideal clients. So we had to find the balance in her sales page to do that. So you can talk about multiple ideal clients and multiple starting points. It's just, you have to be really strategic about it and see if it actually is going to help. So that's why seeing this makes a lot of sense because people who are more advanced in the online space don't really use Amy Porterfield's programs, or if you did, you already bought them when you were first starting and like don't really need any of her other stuff. So then you go down here where it says, this is the start to finish I use to grow my email list every year. Again, because she's at a space now where she is now an influencer, like how Alex Hormozy is for a lot of the, like a better word, the bro-y people. That is what's happening here. So that's why she's going into more of the confidently grow your audience and your revenue for years to come, showing the legacy of what this can do and trying to increase more of the impact this can have on your business, but leaning into more of the influencer side. They do also then include this person who I don't know, but had a great, obviously, testimonial for them to use. And then similar to this person, they also had a similar thing. Obviously, this one's a little bit bigger of a testimonial, but still something. And you can tell here, so by the end of this program, you've already mastered, they're already going into the takeaways here versus with buyer data, they realized they needed to give a stronger statement, a stronger case to why to do the email list. And you can see here, imagine hundreds, even thousands of subscribers perfectly suited for your offer, actually hinting at what their initial question was at the beginning of the 2021 page. So no more feeling like having a half-baked business with your tech handled. I actually use a table like this for my own like funnel creation service because it's hard for our brains sometimes to remember what this can be like beyond just the numbers. Because again, you get into that territory when you do too many numbers of that too good to be true feeling. So this is actually anchoring it and more for the emotional buyers of no more feeling like a half-baked business, which is more feeling and identity focused. This one still does have more tactical things, but it's helping for those who are more emotional. So the first part of their sales pitch is more talking to the logical buyer versus more of the emotional. It still does have obviously some numbers here, but it's focusing on helping people who are needing to step into the identity and see that you understand them. And then here, 1,000 subscribers is wildly doable and honestly is just a start. Let me show you how. So again, it's a really great number, but it's also, you can see here, wildly doable. And again, because she's fighting against the thing of too good to be true, because something like her stats, which are like 400,000, are still true, but for someone who's beginning or in the first couple years of business, feels crazy and feels like very too good to be true. So you can see they're trying to do their best to objection proof that right now. Versus at this time, they're focusing on what to write and when, how to deliver emails to get engagement, opt-in page, which they're going to probably do at the bottom of this too. I think they're about to like in a second, but they focused too quickly on the 2021 page that it got too techy. versus this, as you can tell, still really trying to make a case for the outcome, for the feelings. And you can see here, and I've actually added this into one of my own businesses, the Neurodivergent Hobby Club. I didn't realize she did this, but having something like this where it's when you have a very techie topic like a blog or Pinterest, where the actual result from it is a long-term game. It is like you're going to see results months from now, maybe weeks from now if you're lucky. Having something like this, hers is a little bit less specific, but what I think is helpful here is like saying, here's how it works, here's what your first week would be like in the program, can make people feel more grounded in the solution versus having it be like this, where it's just feeling, oh, I'm gonna get a lot, but that can feel overwhelming when you're already having a topic that is less sexy in a way. So that is something that I like to add in here. If you want an example of that, let me just throw it up here if it lets me. Unfortunately, I'm using System.io for this and it's not my favorite, but here's what I meant by this is something for a hobby club. It's for neurodivergent people. I'm already working through people who are going to be more skeptical and overwhelmed. So having something like this in the first couple sections that is just tell me why to join, and it's giving them the first week, speaking about like the 2-minute tool, going over the hop into your hobby framework that's in under 20 minutes, then going into like the things they get, making it 1, 2, 3 is super, super helpful for the brain. There's like psychology on it. So that's why she's doing that. It's just not as tangible as I would probably recommend her to do. If I were to like look at this, I would first say, okay, how can we make this into a more tangible thing where it's going into either like day one, what they can expect, because everyone's going to think, what can I actually get at the start of this? Then maybe it's a week and then like a month or month 3, whatever that is, to help them feel like an actual timeline is being presented to them that their brain can latch onto. With something like this that can feel very overwhelming. But I would say that's how I would shift this, because this is helping a little bit, but I think they could make it a little bit better. And maybe the month is too much for people who are wanting quick wins. Because again, if you're a beginner entrepreneur, which is kind of like who she's going for, they do want a lot of quick wins. So I'd maybe lean on like day 1, a week, and then like 6 weeks or something. That way you can show that. I know they might not want to lean into that, but they have so many students, they could easily create in-house stats that I do for my clients, helping them see, okay, what was the average time it took them to get through this course or like to get through this module? And then you could create an easy timeline that you have actual stats and can list, this is stats based off of X amount of people who joined. This is how long it took them. And here's how we're making it even shorter with these added tools of ChatGPT or whatever. There's such an easy way to make it more tangible. So you can see now she does have this here below. It's presented better, and there's only 4. Oh, is there only 4 or 3? Okay, slay. So there's only 3 modules. And maybe I'm wrong. I feel like she always had like a bajillion in there. Maybe she realized her mistake. So from a buyer psychology perspective, if you give more than 5 choices, it's very overwhelming, but especially over 3 options for people. It's why at car dealerships, they only give you usually 3 options, because they know people's brains and how it works. So having 5 already made something that felt very upfront heavy of creating an email list even harder. So it makes sense why they went down to module 1, 2, and 3. And then they also focused on, again, really leaning into the 3-step part. First this, then that. And again, focusing on making it feel easy for them. The other thing that I noticed was they went straight into the product mockup photo. I have an entire video on this. I'm like, this is a good starting point, but it is not the transformation of the actual offer. It's just listing more information at them in terms of this mockup. And then here they have a lot more payment options, and it was $100 less versus this one is $497 now, and I think only has one other payment plan. And this one's a tech library resource. And what they probably did, my guess, is those 2 other things they had around here now being stuck in the libraries, because they realize people are just getting overwhelmed by the multiple modules or things you'll master. So by the end of this email marketing course, which is actually what this is, fall in love with consistent content creation, nail your high converting opt-in page, your lead magnet. So they actually kept a lot of this, but you can tell they really shifted into making the titles more focused on the desire, the feeling, because they understand that this is a very techie solution and people aren't going to want to join something just to write a high converting opt-in page. So they did better in a way. I still think that there could be a better way to communicate this and show people, which is for people, like no one really wants to write opt-in pages except for me, because I'm weird and I like this kind of stuff, or lead magnets. But if you could actually show examples of people who create a lead magnets and link them here and show them like how long it took, ask your students how long it took them to create this lead magnet idea and generate, again, I talked about this in a separate video, and the buyer beliefs, helping them show more of the before people who are in your program, who even though they want to be like you, that's the entire main angle of the program, having it show from other students, oh, the lead magnet took me only 2 hours to create and created like 20% opt-in rate. having that as kind of like something underneath each one of these with an example, like you could easily show cute little snapshots or screenshots unless the page load speed gets bad with them to show, oh, people have also done this. Because right now, I think that's making it hard for people to understand who is not a good fit for the society. I'm hoping you're nerding out on this, as I always do. And you can see here, they shifted away from more testimonials to, again, really communicating more of the identity focus up front by doing who is a good fit and who is not. And again, I think that's great by explaining that up front, like your email list is over $1,000. Because before, again, she had 2 people she was working with, that now it's more for beginners only. That's for sure helped the conversions. And then she had on the 2021 side more of the 3-step framework, which is good. It helps with more of the conversions. But again, it feels a little bit more vague on this side, like having traditional stock images nowadays is not going to cut it. I talked about this actually in my Fix My Sales Page bootcamp. I give like 15 different graphics that are focused on your offer type that are not stock photos, that are actually going to affect the conversions, because people need to be shown, not told. And especially in these elements, it's really important. And I do have a video about that mock-up photo as well. I'll just link down below. You can tell this is what I do for most of my business. But they can see they have the tech library still here, start from scratch or again, which I don't quite understand. And then the here's what you get, which is kind of like what they already went through above. It's the 3-step process, tech library, access what's now strategies, the clear best step. So you can tell like during the 2021 era, it was more, here's my 3-step frameworks. Again, she was not the influencer she was now and focused more on like the information. And you add it up and you get a real world value of over $900. But now it's probably not that. And then here, I do appreciate that like you don't need a big reputation. I know lists literally say list building isn't the sexiest task. Without a list, do this. So I appreciate that. Oh, they kept it. Amazing. Good. I'm like, that was a really good thing to keep for a conversion perspective. And then a handful of weeks for lifelong thing, no brainer. Good. I still think they could still also create their own in-house stats that I use for clients that really help out with conversions. But I'm happy they kept that. Now here is where the mock-up photo is. You can tell it's pretty much the same, like literal same thing, which shows me that they definitely need the mock-up photo training that I mentioned, because this is something that is just showing information, not the transformation that they've really done a good job of like casting up front. It's too much about learning as you go versus continuing making a better case by showing the visuals that people need to see to say yes. Okay, I feel like I'm talking forever, so I'm going to try to make this a little bit at the end. She still has a 60-day guarantee, which I think is huge. Obviously, they added in more things here. You can also tell they're choosing testimonials on different industries because they're trying to make the case that this works for any type of niche. Like before it was finance coach, this is writer, business coach, stuff like that. And then here is still the same things from before. It's slightly tweaked, but it's still not doing as good a value. Now it's at $1,000 value versus $900. Interesting. These are the bonuses, which you already mentioned. Now we're already in the FAQ section on the 2021 side. She's doing a final pricing thing. These objections are more around the identity focus, which is fine, but it's a lot of text. The brains are going to skip through it too much. And then this one to end it with was, are you ready to grow your email list supports along like reaching your goals, proven steps to work your email list and become a magnet that attracts the best subscribers? Not bad, not great either. And this is like the best time to build a list was yesterday, which is good. It's like you're trying to create urgency for something that is inherently not urgent to a lot of people, where building a list and doing Pinterest and blogging, it's like you're meant to do it at any point because it's good for your business, that you do have to lean on angles that are like, you're behind, start here. I don't enjoy them, and I try not to do them with my audience or my people because it feels not great. But for like things like this that are more, again, not as sexy, I understand why they did it. They did move away from that here, it looks like, and they also added in how to start getting paid ads with your list, which is huge because a lot of people, for her audience especially, also want to learn ads. So having that there specific, I think, was a really great bonus that they didn't have on this side. Obviously, they now say that the value is added there. They use the same mock-up photo, change it. And then here they have a better way of communicating the guarantees. They do have, which I do talk about also in the bootcamp, of this like mention of difference of like logistic based or objections versus identity ones. So logistics would be like, what if I don't have a website yet? It's more of a yes or no techie based thing, versus this is more of the identity of, I really want to dive in, but I'm afraid I'll get overwhelmed and lose focus. If you want to figure that out, you can look at the bootcamp or hire me to do it for you. I don't enjoy all these stock photos. I feel like they can create custom graphics that show more of the value. There's a way to show
the example of what this can do for them. So I'm just wanting them to do that. And then they say, imagine a business where revenue is only one email away. So instead of them now going from a pain as the final response, they did go towards more of a desire, which I do appreciate. The only thing that I would say here is, one, I don't like how small the text is, even though I know it's shortened. But the thing is here, I think there's a better case to be made with showing more of the students, obviously who consent, showing more of the stuff and be like, it's only one revenue or email away. Show me. Show the other people who like, list a couple other people here, list who it's like right for the industry, make a better case for why this is true beyond just adding 10,000 onto your email list, that kind of stuff. That would be kind of like where I'd begin here. The other thing that I noticed on this one, I think this one too, was they don't have an exit pop-up, which is crazy because it's such an easy thing for them to create. I talk about this often in one of my other videos too, where having an exit pop-up can be really impactful, especially if you're doing something like having a webinar or knowing that a lot of people are seeing this but not converting. Having the exit pop-up gets you to like guarantee they're already excited for what you're going for, and you can easily create something or look at your past data. We did that for a client of mine, looking at the past data, like which GPT did their students use the most and which one was more like a one-off versus giving the entire thing away for, and use that, and have been able to get dozens of leads that they wouldn't have been able to nurture better because they were just like looking at the sales page and they were going to leave. So girl, use an exit pop-up if you haven't already. I'm not able to see if they are using any type of like heat map recording. There might be Microsoft Clarity or something, but if you want me to go into like a more deep dive of their actual funnel, let me know. I feel like I talked so much about the sales page bits because there's a lot here. I can go in further to her email funnel as well once I get more of the emails from them. So at this time, realizing how long this is going to be, you can let me know down below if you want me to do a separate one on the email funnel and why she chose to change her lead magnet to what it is now. I can go more into that, but for now I'm going to leave this here. If you have any questions, let me know below.
We all know that Amy's funnel is powerful. She's put enough time into it, money, I assume, and team members to help out with that. But when it comes to the current landscape we're in, we always have to evolve, and our sales pages and our funnels are always having room to grow. Not something I want to say, but it's true. So hopefully this video has given you a couple action steps you can take for yourself, or even just understand a little bit more of even the biggest names out there are still having pieces that are missing that could help them convert even more. If you want to make your sales page even stronger, then check out the Fix My Sales Page Bootcamp. Join the waitlist to help based off your exact offer type so that you can increase your conversions without spending time rewriting or redesigning the whole thing, because we don't have time for that. And if you want to hear an actual client case study of mine, you can check out this video here where I talk even more about it. So I'll see you in there, and happy selling.